He was summoned to another world by mistake, but he's stronger than the legendary heroes. Yusato is an ugly, disgusting, pathetic high schooler with nothing going on in his life. Bad grades, no girls, no friends, just like you. He wishes he was in a fantasy world to cure his boredom of being an ordinary loser. But one day someone steals his umbrella, and he decides to wait for the rain to stop, because princesses cannot get wet. Suddenly, the student council president Suzune arrives and warns him the school is about to close. Yusato takes it as a clue to get his ugly face out of her sight. However, Vice President Kazuki, the typical perfect guy, appears and mentions that he would let Yusato have his spare. They ask him if he wants to walk home with them, and Yusato can't believe that he is being given the chance to walk with the cool kids. As they walk, Yusato musters the courage to ask if they are a couple. The two laugh and explain those are just rumors because they spend tons of time together in the student council. Suzune then asks Yusato if he has any plans for the future, but he plans to stay in his mom's basement. Suzune then reveals that she doesn't have any plans either because she accomplishes all her goals quickly. Because of this, she often feels isolated and believes she doesn't belong in this world. Suddenly, Suzune and Kazuki stop walking. Yusato is confused, and Kazuki asks if he heard the bell, but Yusato doesn't. They hear the bell again, this time much louder. As Yusato gets closer, a magic circle suddenly appears under their feet. Kazuki starts to freak out as Yusato claims they're being summoned to another world, while Suzune smiles and asks if he means they are about to enter a place full of magic, monsters, and heroes. A few seconds later, they open their eyes and find themselves in a strange room where a man is sitting on a throne. The man introduces himself as Lloyd, the king of Linger. He explains that they have been summoned as heroes to fight a demon lord. The king explains that the kingdom has been attacked for the past 2 years, and they've barely survived. Their last hope was to summon heroes from another world to fight the demon lord. Kazuki asks if they can go back to their world, but the king says that's not possible. Kazuki gets angry, saying they all have families and stuff. But the king kneels in front of Kazuki and promises to find a way to send them home after the job is done. The mage, Welsi, says the summoning spell brings people who have the potential to become heroes, and they will hear a bell. Suzune and Kazuki realize Yusato ended up there by accident. They then go to Welsi's room to test their magical aptitude. Suzune touches a crystal ball, and it glows yellow. Welsi explains that this means she can use thunder magic. When Kazuki touches the crystal ball, it turns white, and Welsi says he has the light attribute, which is the strongest because it counters the demon lord. Yusato decides to try it too, and the ball flashes green. Suzune and Kazuki think the color is beautiful and calming, but Welsi freaks out. Welsi grabs Yusato's hand and rushes back to the throne room. She tells the king about Kazuki and Suzune's great potential, but points out that there's a problem with Yusato. The king laughs at first, but is shocked when he hears that the crystal turned green. He tells Welsi to shut up, which makes Yusato think his attribute must be bad. The king begins to plan, saying they need to send Yusato as far away from the castle as possible. The king orders his guards to start making preparations. Yusato asks if he's dangerous, and if there is anyone else has the same attribute. The king, panicking, says yes, but explains that the person with that attribute is bad news. Suddenly, a woman enters the throne room, and everyone looks terrified. She is the person the king was talking about. She asks how the summoning ritual went and if the heroes have arrived. The king tries to stay calm, but she quickly notices Yusato and asks who he is. The king explains that he was summoned by mistake along with the heroes and calls him an average pleb. The woman clearly notices the king is sweating. She then introduces herself as Rose, the captain of the rescue team. Welsi interrupts, saying the heroes are waiting by the crystal ball and offers to take Rose there. Rose agrees and gets ready to leave. The king feels relieved, but Yusato stupidly asks what the green light means. Upon hearing this, Rose stops. Everyone in the room starts to freak out. Rose turns and asks if he really said green. When he confirms, she tells the king she's taking him with her. The king panics, and Welsi casts a spell, trapping Yusato in a bubble and forcing him out of the castle. Yet, Rose runs after him with her insane speed. The bubble flies out in the sky, but she is too fast and quickly catches up with him. Rose punches the bubble, breaking it. Yusato thinks it's the end for him, but Rose catches him just in time. She tells the king that she'll train Yusato to become a proper healer, then walks away with him. A few minutes later, Welsi informs Suzune and Kazuki that Yusato was taken. They worry he might be in danger, but Welsi reassures them that he's safe because he was taken to the rescue squad. She then reveals that Yusato's green attribute is healing magic. Healers are rare in this world, and Rose is one of them. Welsi goes on to explain that Rose will teach Yusato everything she knows, but her training methods are unorthodox. Once they reach the base, Rose tells Yusato that he has the potential to become a great healer. He is still confused as she informs him that he will be living there from now on. She then calls the rest of the team, but when Yusato looks at them, he realizes they're literally a band of bandits. Rose tells them to take care of Yusato, but they all stare at him like serial killers. Yusato tries to back away, but the men introduce themselves, which looks more like a robbery. Rose explains they are part of the rescue squad, but none of them are healers. She adds that there are only 2 other healers, but they're stationed elsewhere. Because of this, Rose says she will personally teach him healing magic. Yusato freaks out, wanting to scream and run, but he can't move. He asks for a different instructor, but Rose ignores him and says training starts tomorrow. The bandit gang smiles at Yusato, warning him that his life will become miserable now that Rose will be teaching him. In short, he'll be living in hell. The next day, Yusato wakes up, realizing it wasn't a dream and that he's truly in another world. One of the bandits comes to his room and tells him he has visitors. Yusato steps outside and meets Kazuki and Suzune, who are relieved to see he's okay. He apologizes for worrying them and tells them he's still alive. That's until he remembers that Rose will start his training today, which means that he might not be alive tomorrow. Suzune and Kazuki are surprised to hear about this supposed training. Suzune then reveals they will also start their training today. Yusato is curious about their hero training, mainly because their outfits look cool. Suzune laughs it out, but Kazuki promises to do his best in this world. As they leave, Yusato thinks about how hard it must have been for Kazuki to suddenly become a hero. Suzune, on the other hand, seems completely at ease, as if this is what she wanted all along. Yusato decides he'll work hard so he can help them someday. Rose suddenly steps out and asks if the heroes have left. Yusato gets scared to return to reality and doesn't reply. Rose then explains he's not a prisoner and can meet his friends anytime, except during training. Yusato thanks Rose and she hands him a diary. She explains that he can use it to write down his training, experiences, or whatever he wants. Then she warns him that training will begin right after breakfast. To his surprise, Yusato's first day of training is nothing like the hell he expected. His first task is simply to concentrate and feel the mana in his body. Rose tells him that he'll learn to project it outside his body, but Yusato is still confused. After the training, Rose gives Yusato a book and orders him to read it. He's confused, thinking he can't read the language of this world, but when he opens it, he realizes he can read it. Rose explains that the hero ritual casts a translation spell on everyone summoned. She then uses the book to show him their location and where the demons live. Yusato realizes they're very close to each other, and Rose confirms that Linger is the demon's first target. She tells him to read the book to learn about this world, races, and demons. Yusato starts reading, thinking the training is easy, but the second day is completely different. He was forced to run until his body couldn't handle it anymore. As a result, his body gave up and he fell. Rose got mad and asked him why was he resting. He says his legs gave up, but Rose slaps them with healing magic. Yusato complains about the pain but then realizes it's gone. Rose calls him useless and says she healed his muscle soreness, so he has no excuse to stop. She orders him to run again. Scared, Yusato starts running, and Rose warns him that even if he dies, she'll revive him and make him keep running. Yusato thinks she's out of her mind, but at least he has his diary to vent his frustration. On the fourth day, he starts training with the other squad members. However, the bandits mock and insult him as they easily outrun him. Rose also joined them because military training doesn't exist without insults. Yusato vents his anger in his diary and starts plotting revenge. On the 5th and 6th days, he continues running, but Rose still thinks he's too slow and keeps insulting him. He ends up hugging the floor and again decides to vent on his diary. However, as he tries to get up, he notices his hand glowing. It looks like healing magic, but he has no idea why it's activating. The 7th day is a bit different. He runs until exhaustion and then becomes Rose's kicking bag. She approaches him and says that the more he hates her, the harsher she'll be. Yusato is shocked, suspecting she read his diary. She looks like a psycho, but there's no way she knows how to read Japanese. Before he can figure it out, Rose picks him up, throws him into the air, and orders him to start running again. Yusato tears down midair and promises that from now on, he will call her the muscle-headed demon gorilla in his diary. Days 8 and 9 were pretty much the same. Run into exhaustion, get kicked, and repeat it for the whole day. On the 10th day, things started to change for Yusato. Without realizing it, he had mastered healing magic so well that it worked automatically whenever he got hurt. He no longer felt pain or injuries, and using magic felt natural. This gave him new confidence. Yusato started training on his own without waiting for orders. Rose noticed his change but didn't comment, only smirking as she watched him improve. By the end of the day, he realized he could run for hours without getting tired. Yusato promised to finish the training and show Rose who's the boss, but didn't last long when she added 1,000 push-ups to his routine. He kept using healing magic to make sure his body can handle it. On the 21st day, Kazuki and Suzune visit him, along with the princess and a knight. They are shocked to find Yusato doing push-ups with Rose sitting on a massive rock on his back. She complains that he's too slow and motivates him to not quit. Yusato refuses to quit and continues the exercise. Rose mocks him and jumps down to place another rock on top of the other. Despite the initial shock of regret, Yusato continues to push forward, using his magic to heal himself. Rose even admires his determination, saying that he's becoming her type of guy. The other two cannot believe Yusato is going through this, but Suzune quickly starts drooling after checking his muscles. However, the knight gets angry and grabs Rose's collar, asking what she is doing. He accuses Rose of trying to destroy Yusato, but she simply tells him to let her go. When he refuses, she grabs his hand as she tells him that he trains his knights however he wants, but she will use her methods to make Yusato become her right-hand man. She adds that she can't afford to go easy on him. The knight and Yusato are both shocked by those words. And that's the end of the video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. so you can get the next part as soon as possible. See you next time.